And a large crowd on hand, an electric crowd on hand here at Richmond Coliseum in Richmond, Virginia for game number 1 of our semifinal doubleheader between VCU and Old Dominion. Take a look at the tail of the tip for this one. A much anticipated game between big-time rivals. VCU scores a little bit more over the course of time, but Old Dominion defends a little bit better, at least if you believe what you're going to see in terms of overall numbers over the course of the season. As we said, these two teams have seen each other twice, and they split them. For Old Dominion, starting this ball game, aside from the guy who did everything in the middle yesterday in Gerald Lee, keep an eye on Darius James. He had his share of difficulties, 0 for 11 shooting the ball in 2 games against VCU this year. Jonathan Adams, a senior, kind of a glue that holds things together. And on the other side, for VCU, Eric Maynor is the guy who makes this engine go. Joey Rodriguez, a sophomore, also struggled from the floor. 3 for 15 in the 2 games against Old Dominion this year. Larry Sanders can dominate in the middle. Head coach for Old Dominion, Blaine Taylor, in his 8th season. Winner of 299 games in his career, 157 of them at ODU. And Anthony Grant, the 2007 CAA Coach of the Year, in his 3rd season, has dominated like no one else, 74 and 24. As everybody came into this building today, it got loud, it got electric. You see how close the series has been, VCU leading it by 2 overall. Old Dominion wearing the blue, VCU the top seed in the home white. And semifinal Sunday is underway.
Well, Scott, we talked about a couple things that may motivate VCU. One is that they got knocked out early last season, and Eric Maynor wants to do something about it, get his team to the NCAA tournament. And secondly, the last time these 2 guys played in the championship game, ODU won in 2005.
Off the miss, Sanders fighting for a rebound, but can't corral it. And now Old Dominion. We'll see how quickly they can get the ball to the inside. And off the miss, fight for the rebound, it's going back the other way.
I'll be curious, Scott, to see what kind of pace Old Dominion wants to play this game at. They're very comfortable in the mid to high 60s. I don't think they really want the game to get into the 70s. They're a good defensive team. They're a good rebounding team, perhaps one of the best in the conference.
Neither game got out of the 60s that they played this year. Most recent win, 69-65 for Old Dominion. And the poke away steal on the inside. Down toward the corner. And way too much for Neely. But another offensive rebound. That was a theme yesterday. Now inside, it's Lee. And this time, the rebound corralled by Sanders.
Well, a little different look for Gerald Lee this afternoon. He's going to have to face Larry Sanders. And I think a key for VCU is keeping Larry Sanders on the court. When Old Dominion beat VCU the last time, Larry Sanders got in foul trouble. He is one of the few guys in the league that I think can defend Gerald Lee in the low post.
Little jump hook shot. And the soft touch gives him the bounce for the first score of the game.
Well, everybody talks about Eric Maynor, but Larry Sanders, I think, could be the difference maker here this afternoon at both ends of the court. If he can get a couple baskets, that's great, but he has to play great defense on Gerald Lee.
Saw Maynor forcing James to his right hand. James, a natural left-hander at the point guard. And VCU, after the initial pressure, settling back into his own look. They'll switch it up throughout. Cassell on the pretty feet inside gets fouled.
Well, I think VCU will switch up its defense much like Hoster did yesterday, forcing Gerald Lee to different areas of the court. It's really difficult to play Old Dominion man-to-man the entire game, and you saw just a terrific interior pass by Gerald Lee. He attacks what we call the short corner of that zone, and ODU executes perfectly.
Frank Cassell, a 62% free throw shooter, and gets ODU on the board. Redshirt sophomore out of Chesapeake, Virginia.
When I talked to one of the assistant coaches, Jim Corrigan from Old Dominion, he talked to me about one of the keys to the game is not letting VCU have breakouts. Easy baskets in transition, and when they beat VCU the last game, it was because they made it more of a half-court game.
That's Pishelnikov. Nowhere to go with Lee playing defense, and they'll reset it. Maynor right through the 5-hole on Sanders. When you're 6'10", as long and lean as he is, it's a pretty big inseam you got there to buzz that ball right through.
Well, it was the right play. Eric Maynor felt like he drew the defender to him, so Sanders was open. And I think this full court pressure is going to be an interesting thing to watch as the game unfolds, because Old Dominion's going to have to handle this for almost 40 minutes.
It's part of what you get in the deal facing VCU. They will chase you up and down the floor 92 feet all game long.
But the good thing for Old Dominion is they knew coming into this game what to expect, having played this team twice during the regular season.
Off the miss by Lee. There's Maynor. Set it up for Rodriguez. And yet another miss, yet another rebound. This is Neely. And he got fouled on the way to the basket.
Rodriguez, he had a good look at the basket. You know, when you're Eric Maynor, you have to just keep distributing the basketball. And this is something I think ODU is trying to do early on. Neely is penetrating before the defense gets set. Larry Sanders didn't even get down the court by that point. So it looks like if Old Dominion can attack before the defense is set, they're going to try to take advantage of it.
And substitutions here early. You're going to see a lot of that. But Lee going out early here in this one now and taking a seat on the bench, as Neely will get one more try.
That's a bit of a surprise with Gerald Lee coming out of the game so early. I'm sure we'll see him back in the game momentarily.
Well, Sanders sat, Lee sat, almost as if they're matching it. And now Maynard. Off the miss, Neely, a good weak side rebound. Kind of rushing it up to see if they can get deep on VCU's defense before they get a chance to set it up.
Well, it'll also be interesting, Scott, to see whether or not Old Dominion can score with Gerald Lee on the sideline. It really didn't show that yesterday afternoon, but somebody offensively is going to have to step up to help score enough points to beat VCU.
You can say that again. He had 13 field goals. The rest of his teammates had 8 in the game. But there you go from the corner. And burying the jump shot is Ben Finney, who was kept off the scoreboard yesterday. Averaged 14 in 2 games against VCU this year. Nixon had his pocket picked. And that's going to lead to a breakaway. And the folks wearing blue are making noise here in Richmond. There's Burgess, huge game for the freshman yesterday, and off another miss. The early momentum all belongs to Old Dominion. Pashelnikov is going to get called for the foul.
There's a good look at Blaine Taylor. He's the 6th man on the court. He's actually coaching every defensive possession, and he certainly fired up early in this game.
So are the folks wearing blue from Norfolk. A little bit of a scramble leads to an easy basket, and 4.5 minutes in, number 4 leads number 1. Yesterday, Old Dominion's victory was a game of runs with Hofstra. Well, an 8-0 run now has given the Monarchs and their fans a lot to cheer about these first 4.5 minutes of the game. VCU crowd, well, they realize their team is pretty well experienced in this kind of thing. And very early in the game, but a couple of good looks so far for Old Dominion.
Well, Old Dominion is pushing the ball down the court, and Ben Finney steps up and drains a huge 3 early in this game. And Old Dominion's been playing solid defense throughout the latter part of this season. Here, one of the easiest baskets I think they'll get all afternoon as Frank Hassell finishes a fast break opportunity.
As you take a look at this game coming in, you realize that you got the number 1 seed in VCU, a team that was consistent throughout the year, but I don't think there's any doubt if you look at who the hottest team was coming in, it was Old Dominion, and they've won 10 of their last 11 games coming into this afternoon.
But I think both coaches would agree, when you face your arch rival in such a meaningful game, almost everything that happened before this isn't really going to matter.
Straight man defensive look. Lee back on the floor after the timeout. Both of these teams playing 1 game so far after getting the first round bye as one of the top 4 seeds. Adams trying to loop it over the top. No shot at all.
Poor decision there, and Terrence Santil is now in the game, and he's trying to defend Gerald Lee. Does a terrific job on that possession.
Maynor, a rare confused look from him, but he got it inside to Gwynn for a chance at a 3-point play.
A little bit of hesitation there, Scott. I'm not sure Maynor thought he was either going to shoot or drive or pass the ball in the lane, and that's what's so difficult about trying to guard him. He throws the defense off balance just as much.
TJ Gwynn, who at one time was part of the CAA All-Rookie team a couple of years ago. His role has certainly been reduced over the course of the last couple of years. Spent time missing games this year with a foot injury. He's on the floor, and now VCU keying a run of their own. 5 unanswered points.
Well, we saw this yesterday in spurts. VCU put the pressure on Georgia State, and they opened up a lead. Now, Georgia State got back in the game, but this is what VCU's defense forces you to do. It forces guys who aren't normally bringing the ball up the court to handle the basketball and are prone to making mistakes.
Maynor is denying the point guard James as best he can. Finney camping out inside, though, has an easy 2.
Old Dominion runs good half-court offense. They're going to get a good quality shot because everybody knows their role, and Blaine Taylor knows where he wants guys to take specific shots.
Keon Carter called on the reach.
Here's just good defense. You're going to see more of this. VCU's just going to put a lot of pressure on the defense and try to create scores in transition. Here on the other side, good half-court execution by a set play for Old Dominion as they get an easy basket in the lane.
Foul on Carter, his first second team foul here in these opening minutes. Sanders still sitting. So is Rodriguez. And so is Pashelnikov. That's Gwynn playing with a lot of energy here early. Off the miss, went off the leg of Santil, and back it goes the other way.
Well, as Gwynn was going to the basket, Eric Maynor was actually calling for the basketball because his man had left him and he was wide open, but nobody really sees the court as well as Eric Maynor. So TJ Gwynn going to the basket was simply focused on the rim.
Quick hands. Rozelle got himself the steal. All-out effort from the sophomore. And now he'll try to pay it off. And off the miss. Ping pong ball with the rebound. The foul call is going to be on VCU. It'll be on Bradford Burgess. His first.
It's a shot by VCU. Burgess trying to get that rebound. Goes over the back. It's called for the foul. I don't think Old Dominion yet has found a solution for how to attack this press. They're really having difficulty getting the ball over half court.
Thing is, if you beat it, you might have an open look, and that's exactly what they got for Keon Carter.
Well, we talked about some other guys stepping up for Old Dominion, Scott, and they're doing it. I mean, Ben Finney has a couple field goals. Keon Carter gets a score there.
Old Dominion doing a lot of things right here early. That wasn't one of them.
He got the ball back, though. Another possession. That's what you call a bad miss.
That's what you're going to hear about one way or another. May not be right now, may not be tonight. But you're going to hear about that from your teammates at some point or other.
Well, that's what you call respect right there. Gerald Lee just gets triple teamed as he catches the ball in the low post.
Karam rebound out for a reset now for the Monarchs.
That's something consistently Old Dominion has done all year, is out-rebound their opponents. They're the best in the conference at over 6 a game. And yesterday they did a very good job against Hofstra rebounding the basketball.
And a traveling violation on Carter.
Here's Green catching the basketball. Look at 3 white jerseys. I don't think you can get a better compliment when somebody catches the basketball and you invite a double team, but how about a triple team? VCU scouted Old Dominion very well yesterday and realized one of the keys to the game is keeping the ball away from Gerald Lee.
It's going to be easy for this next couple of minutes right now as they'll, in front of the media timeout, give them a little bit of rest. VCU not having a lot of trouble getting the ball inside the Old Dominion defense right now. Dangerous pass. Roselle got it. Back down to a 3-point game now.
Here's Adams bringing the basketball up the court. I think that's the right play. If you can get it over the front line of the defense and attack 2-on-1, 3-on-1, Old Dominion could have some success.
Bazemore going to get called for the reach-in foul. And I'll tell you what, he's going to hear about it from his coach as he gets to the sideline. That is not the way they wanted to play defensively as he gets hit for his first. Back and forth they go. Old Dominion out rebounding VCU, and when they've beaten the pressure, they've had some easy looks here in this first half. Lead is 5 for Old Dominion, the 4 seed leading number 1, almost halfway through this first half here in our first semifinal game. But tonight at 5:30, catch the second half of our doubleheader as the 11 seed Towson Tigers, the Cinderella team, face off against the George Mason Patriots, a right to go to the championship game. More CAA semifinal action coming up tonight at 5:30 right here on the Comcast Network. Well, your scoring leaders, the CAA, Eric Maynor, the leading scorer. A lot of that generally comes in the second half of games, Griff. And when you start taking a look at what he does, he normally gets his teammates involved in the game early and then picks up the slack late. I got to wonder whether or not he might be thinking about pulling the trigger a little bit earlier in this one.
Well, I really like that strategy. He's a guy that has over 600 assists in his career. He averages about 4 assists a game. And you're absolutely right. He does try to get his teammates involved in the scoring in the first half. And yesterday was a great example of him stepping up in the second half, scoring almost all his points except for 2 in the second half.
So VCU down 5, the inbounds. And Gwynn again on the inside. So 5 now for Gwynn. Good look inside to Lee. A great seal by Lee, and he was found by Finney on a pretty pass.
Great pass by Ben Finney. Good ball movement by Old Dominion on that possession. And as you can see, both teams are switching defenses. Old Dominion right now in the zone. They'll mix it up between man and zone. VCU doing much the same thing.
And a traveling violation. It'll be a turnover. That's the 4th for Anthony Grant-Scott.
Eric Maynor on the sideline. He'll be back very shortly. Anthony Grant giving him a minute or 2 rest here in the first half. Last possession here, VCU sets up in its half-court defense, does not extend the pressure full court because Old Dominion had some success in attacking that.
Good job of moving the ball to the middle and then back out again, but the pass to the outside didn't work, so right back out. And Rodriguez is going to get called for the reach on Hassell. And Frank Hassell is going to go to the free throw line.
I like the way Old Dominion is attacking this zone. They're moving Gerald Lee out of the lane into that short corner area. He's taking the big guy, Larry Sanders, with him, so it opens up the lane for a guy like Frank Hassell to be able to catch the ball and go hard to the basket without somebody in his way to block the shot.
You said it'd be a short rest for Maynard. It is. Here he comes back at the 10-15 mark. Hassell, 6.5 points, 4.5 rebounds this year, and 1 out of 2 from the line. He's got 5 now. Extends the ODU lead to 6.
Just a little bit of token pressure as Eric Maynor brings the basketball up the court. Darius James is not really trying to trap him or take the ball away. Just slow him a little bit as he brings the ball over half court.
That's good position inside for Sanders. Missed on the shot. They got the 2 big men in right now, and Veshelnikov fouled on the way back up. So he's going to go to the free throw line now. Finney gets called for a second.
I think Eric Maynor's going to keep trying to go into the lane and see if he can establish something between Larry Sanders and Pashalnikov, because VCU needs to be able to score in the lane. Eric Maynor's going to either have to make shots from the perimeter, or Joey Rodriguez is going to have to do something, or Sanders or some other big guy is going to have to step up in the lane.
Now Pashalnikov, 69% from the line on the year for the junior out of Russia. Last time these teams played, he only got 11 minutes in that game and fouled out. And he misses a pair right here. Here at the 2009 CAA Tournament, Richmond Coliseum in Richmond, Virginia. Along with Greg Murphy and John Griffin, I am Scott Graham here on the Comcast Network. And happy to be bringing you the 2009 Army ROTC CAA Championship. Look at that up top. Nobody guarding the backside of the defense. And ODU is doing just about everything right as they extend the lead to 8.
Well, they obviously know how to attack this half-court zone of VCU. They're just making terrific pinpoint passes. Neely has that terrific feel for seeing the court, makes a beautiful pass.
And Roselle on the run. He's got 4 now. A decent job in terms of breaking the pressure, although that pass was a little bit on the dangerous side.
Well, I think as long as Darius James is in the game, Old Dominion is going to be able to get the ball over half court.
James, just a sophomore out of Virginia Beach, does a great job of running this team. Look at Lee inside. That didn't go. I'll tell you what, Hassell is having himself some kind of first half. He's got 9 points and extends the lead back to 8.
Well, the 6'8 sophomore is asserting himself.
And the 6'8 sophomore just got yelled at by his coach because he lost possession on the inside to Pashalnikov and committed the foul.
I don't think you can diagram attacking a zone any better. And that time, Frank Hassell just kind of sneaks to the opposite side of the basket. And he does much the same thing on this offensive rebound. Everybody is focused on Gerald Lee, but you can't forget about Frank Hassell.
Lane Taylor asking for a 30-second timeout. You can tell the energy level he brings. He is managing this game, almost on a, minute by minute or segment by segment kind of a way. But at the same time, it's pretty good coaching in the way they are attacking right now, the VCU defense.
Yeah, I would call it very surgical. He knows exactly what he wants his team to do at both ends of the court. And Scott, I would describe it possession by possession. As you look at a game, it's just a composite of individual possessions at both the offense and defensive end of the court. And if you want to win the game, you simply win more possessions than your opponent. I love the atmosphere here. This is all of March Madness. I know we're still probably a week away from Selection Sunday, but this has all the elements, the band, the crowd, the cheerleaders, the fans, and the meaningfulness of a very intense rivalry.
And that guy is going to be in the middle of it at some point or other. ODU is outnumbered. I don't think there's any doubt about it here. This is a VCU crowd and a lot of gold here in the building already. Anticipating George Mason coming in for game number 2. Off the timeout, Sanders has 2 on him. It tickled the rim and fell away, and that is going to be a foul call on the attempt for the rebound. And it's on Pashalnikov, his second. Team foul number 6, so next one's going to have Old Dominion at the line.
Well, if you wanted to put together a teaching video about how to box out, Gerald Lee just showed a great example of it. Old Dominion is doing a great job of just fundamentally positioning themselves and checking out VCU, keeping them to just simply 1 shot on every possession.
Old Dominion showing patience.
Now VCU goes back to its man-to-man defense. Now trying to think to up the tempo a little bit more. Give Old Dominion a different look because Old Dominion has shown a lot of success in attacking that zone.
Pretty good success in attacking the man, and Neely on the bank shot extends the lead out to double digits. First field goal, I should say, of the game for Marjorie Neely.
Well, Old Dominion, Scott, was looking for somebody to help out Gerald Lee, and they're getting it when you look at Hassell helping out, Neely's helping out. I mean, guys that were very quiet on the offensive end yesterday are really stepping up here this afternoon.
Lee, nothing downstairs, so he'll go right back up to the top. Wow, they are just tactically playing a beautiful game right now and getting their players into the best positions to get the best looks. Lee hasn't been the primary scorer. He hasn't had to be for Blaine Taylor's team. A team that's doing everything right now with 7 minutes to go in the first half. And Old Dominion sitting on top of a 9-2 run over the last 4+ minutes. They're shooting 56% here for this first half. Blaine Taylor's got his team, as we said, going away to the break in great positions to score the basketball against a very tough defensive team.
I think they're reading the defense well. They're recognizing when VCU changes from zone to man-to-man, and they have an answer almost every time. And Scott, what is amazing about this game so far is the fact that Gerald Lee has only 2 points. Okay, 2 points out of 23, and his team is winning by 10. If you thought that Old Dominion could be up 10 points with Gerald Lee scoring only 2, you wouldn't have said that going into as a result of watching yesterday's game.
No, yesterday it was all Lee, and now Lee off the inbound. Had a good look, but missed on the bank shot.
But Frank Hassell has 9 in first half points. Ben Finney has 5. Kean Carter has 4. Neely has 3. So these are guys that were very, very quiet yesterday that have stepped up in the first half at the offensive end of the court.
And VCU still hasn't found an offensive answer at this point. That might be it. Yep. Eric Maynor to the inside. Great body control and a chance at a three-point play as Maynor hits for his first 2 of the afternoon.
Well, he's the answer, really. He's the guy that can get his own shot, and he's the guy that can, I think, put this team on his shoulders. And he's going to have to do that right now because it's not the right time to simply distribute the basketball and get your teammates involved. This is the time where I think you have to make a statement and get your team back in the game by your ability to score.
Well, the three-point play trims it back down now to a 7-point game.
VCU trying to keep the ball out of the hands of Darius James and force other players to bring the ball over half court.
Wrapping a pass around along the baseline. Lee couldn't handle it, but they'll get another shot at it as the shot clock winds down to 10. Carter is wide open. Missed that one badly. Look at the hustle on the rebound. That ball kicked out of bounds by VCU.
I think over the course of a game, balls can bounce a lot of different ways. Right now, the ball is bouncing in favor of Old Dominion. They're just kind of getting all these favorable bounces. We saw the ball hit the side of the backboard. It came right back to Old Dominion. There was a pass in the lane by Darius James. A mishandled pass. The ball came back to Old Dominion.
Old Dominion has used pretty much an 8-man rotation here in these opening 14 minutes of the game against this VCU pressure. Lee is battling with Sanders inside for position. Wow, Hassell nearly got it taken away, but it turns out a foul call, and it's going to be on Santil.
Well, Anthony Grant doesn't like the call, but again, I think VCU doing a very good job in the lane, and it's forcing other guys to make a play, like a Frank Hassell, from around the foul line area. So the defense on Gerald Lee has been terrific so far in the first half. It's simply been other guys from Old Dominion that have stepped up, especially a guy like Frank Hassell.
Hassell, last time these teams played, 10 points and 6 rebounds in that ball game. Missing front end of the 1-and-1, but get a lane violation. Well, that makes it a little bit easier to shoot the front end of the 1-and-1 when you get a do-over.
Kind of reminds me somewhat of yesterday's game for VCU. They started out a little bit slow, but they started to pick it up as the game moved to the end of the first half, and they were a much different team coming out of the locker room in the second half.
Short with the second, and a foul call on Lee over the back. He gets hit for his first. Guess I missed my guess. I believe that's the last regular season game in the college basketball schedule this year.
And it doesn't really matter because Cornell has already clinched the NCAA tournament bid for the Ivy League.
But Penn-Princeton is, that's a different animal. There's an awful lot that goes into a Penn-Princeton game, whether it means the Ivy League title or not.
Kind of reminds you of this Old Dominion VCU rivalry. It almost doesn't matter that you're playing in the CAA playoffs. This would be an important game regardless.
Some of the people on either side who said, yeah, this is Duke, Carolina. At least it is around here. Bazemore, that was a good look. A hand stopped what would have been a pretty pass. If you're just joining us, Old Dominion has pretty much controlled this game throughout. An 8-0 run early gave them a 6-point lead, and they have held VCU at arm's length. Shot clock down to 5. Lee does a good job by Santil to take a shot away, but another offensive rebound.
Boy, it's awfully frustrating when you're VCU and you play pretty good defense on Gerald Lee, and Old Dominion comes up with a rebound on what it really appears to be a bad shot. Larry Sanders doing a good job defensively. Right now, Gerald Lee very much contained in the first half of the offensive end of the court. But the big guys from Old Dominion are doing a good job of handling the basketball.
Long range, Adams. And he left it short. And there goes Maynor. Wow. Wow. That is just simply, I am better than you.
Well, and it's, you know what, I'm not looking to pass the ball anymore. He just came over half court. A lot of times his head is up and he's looking for his teammates. I mean, he had a teammate wide open on the right wing, and he decides, forget about it. I'm going to take the ball all the way to the basket, and you're absolutely right. I'm going to challenge you, Gerald Lee, because I don't think you can really stop me from scoring, or at the very least, I can get to the foul line.
Now Gerald Lee with that foul after the over the back at the other end gets 2 quick ones, and he's going to earn a trip to the bench. Mark that moment down as Maynor just took it length of the floor. Missing on the free throw, though, with a chance to get it back down to a 3-point game.
Well, this is everything we expected, and Blaine Taylor, I think, is showing you really what the players feel, and that's the intensity of the moment. And in yesterday's game, we saw James Madison against Hofstra, and it was a war, really. It was a war of attrition. Play after play was simply a battle in the lane for a cut to the basket, and this is very much the same.
Ball over the end line. Crowd hates the call, but Old Dominion is going to keep it. That was a break-your-ankles crossover move by Neely, who left it short, and then a wild scramble for the basketball in the lane.
George Mason, James Madison yesterday was a battle, and this is very much the same way. Every pass is being contested, every rebound and shot is being challenged.
Back to man defense. Maynor was thinking steal right there. Blaine Taylor wants a reach-in foul that he's not going to get. James swatted away by Sanders. And that's got the crowd wearing the gold, getting fired up.
Well, on one hand, I kind of applaud Darius James's interest in challenging Larry Sanders, but in hindsight, kind of a foolish decision. There's no way that ball's going to get to the rim with Larry Sanders kind of standing there protecting the rim.
That's Neely, contested shot, a tough one. They've now missed 6 in a row. And on the dive, you're going to get a whistle, and you're going to get a foul call. It's on Hassell. It'll be his second, and a 1-and-1 coming when we come back. It is heating up here inside Richmond Coliseum in a 4-point ball game late here in the first. Good first half of basketball. 4-point game with 3:57 to go until the break. history would dictate that these two teams are going to play a tight one. Last time they met was back on February 14th of this year. Crowd of nearly 8,500 at the Constant Center. And a back-and-forth ball game, as you would expect. Gerald Lee with 18 points to lead Old Dominion. But, well, of course, what do you expect? Eric Maynor knocks in 22 to pace the Rams. But then it was Lee hitting on a jumper with 2:25 left to put the Monarchs up by 2. And Ben Finney later on a key three-pointer in the last minute and a half. And it helps Old Dominion secure a 69-65 win. As we said, they split them this year. They split them last year. What conversation going on there, John? You coached for a long time. Is this a little bit about some of the demeanor that's going on the sidelines?
Well, I think that, things are starting to heat up on the basketball court, and I think both of the coaches are getting into it a little bit. And you saw there Blaine Taylor speaking to one of the referees, Bernard Clinton, and I think the referees are going to start to call this a little bit tighter. I think they're going to be more careful and attentive to the coaches, because both coaches, I think, are taking a little bit of liberty here with the officials. Both coaches are getting on the officials. They want the benefit of the doubt. Anytime there's a call that could go either which way, I think the officials are going to take control of the game.
Both coaches very animated, but in very different ways. As Maynor hits on a pair of them, he's got 7 now. And this run is now 9-1 for VCU.
Well, I would normally say, Scott, Gerald Lee has to be back in the game for Old Dominion, but he's been very quiet. Even though he has two fouls, he only has 2 points in the first half, so Old Dominion's been able to score, even though he's not been much of a factor.
Your problem now, though, is Hassell also has 2 fouls, so freshman Chris Cooper is getting some court time now. That does change the offensive look, no doubt. James, the runner, won't go. And here comes VCU with a chance to tie it or take the lead.
Good job defensively there by James to keep Maynor out of the lane. He's so hard to guard when he gets ahead of steam, bringing the ball over half court in transition.
Old Dominion was kind of confused as to what they were doing defensively there briefly, but now they settle back into the zone look.
Well, they're changing their defense, and actually forces VCU to stop and read the defense, take a little more time.
How about the lead for VCU? 12-1 run for the Rams, and it's been all Eric Maynor.
Well, he just turns things around. He came out of his slump. He had a long-range shooting slump going into the game yesterday, and he really got out of that in the second half, and he drills a deep 3 on the last possession.
It's going to be a push in the back on Gwen. But take a look at this. Stepping out, not going to chase me out here. I'll drain it from out here.
It's interesting when you're a defender like Darius James. He has a sense of where Eric Maynor can shoot the basketball, but he really didn't believe Maynor was going to take that shot. Good 5 feet beyond the 3-point line.
So free throws now coming for Keon Carter. 1-and-1 opportunity now for the redshirt sophomore. He and Hassell on the floor right now, kind of looked at by Blaine Taylor and teammates as the yin and yang. 2 very different type of guys, different type of bodies, different type of contributions, but they complement each other so well out on the floor. Both are redshirt sophomores. 1 and 2.
Scott, when you think of the size of the guys returning for Old Dominion and you throw into the mix Gerald Lee, who's only a junior, Blaine Taylor has a lot to look forward to with the players returning for next season.
But winner out of 10 out of 11 right now coming into this game, and he is thinking about something big.
Eric Maynor, after making that shot, that long-range 3, and the number of threes he made yesterday, it was kind of a welcome change because he had really struggled. 8 for 44 from 3 going into yesterday's game.
Eddie Sanders on the inside with a carom rebound, and again VCU takes the lead as we cross 2 minutes left in the half.
Yesterday, Eric Sanders gave his team a lift going into the locker room when he had that putback dunk with just a fraction of the second left on the clock.
Boy, it's interesting listening to the noise bubble up from the folks wearing the gold as VCU has clawed their way back into this game. Hassell, good look inside for Finney, but a shot clock violation. He didn't go straight up with the basketball when he caught it, and it cost him.
I think Old Dominion looks a little lost right now, Scott. They just really do miss, at this point in the game, Gerald Lee. They need a basket. Gerald Lee is on the sideline with 2 fouls. I don't think Blaine Taylor is going to take the risk now of putting him back in the game with 1:30 to go and being down 2 points. He's just going to try to hold down the fort until they get into the second half.
You saw the drought. By the time they get the basketball back here, it'll be coming up on 6.5 minutes without a field goal. Burgess, little floater. Won't go. Bodies flying everywhere, but out of the pack with it come the Monarchs. Carter inviting a crowd, nearly threw it away.
Right now, there's just kind of a out of sync, if you would call it that, looking at Old Dominion's half-court offense.
And the VCU crowd is getting on their feet. Shot clock down to 7. Carter wants a 3. Missed it badly. Caught a little rim, though. They get the shot clock reset. And now the loose basketball is going back the other way. Eric Maynor trying to plead his case. Brian Dorsey, the official, didn't get very far. Now they got to question whether or not the shot clock gets reset.
Yeah, I think that was one of the questions. Did that shot by Carter actually raise the rim?
It did. It was a brick, but it caught left side of the rim.
I think this is a good decision to put Gerald Lee back in the game. This will be the last possession of the half for probably Old Dominion, and Old Dominion wants to take advantage of it, see if they can get the ball to Gerald Lee here, their best scorer, who's been very quiet offensively in the first half.
Out of 4.5-second differential between game and shot clock. So Old Dominion can take down most of the remaining portion of the half. They led by as many as 10. VCU on the shoulders of Eric Maynor came back.
Well, even though we talked about the CAA getting multiple bids, everybody's playing this game for the NCAA tournament bid. Both of these teams have 20 wins. They're going to play somewhere, but only one of them's going to the NCAA tournament depending on what happens today and tomorrow.
Neely got it, and a chance at a three-point play.
Well, the junior, Marsharie Neely, steps up. He penetrates. It looks again like a broken play. We've seen this so many times. An off-balance shot going to the basket, and he's able to get that ball out and over the outstretched arms of Larry Sanders. Wisely, Gerald Lee comes out of the game now because Old Dominion is just really going to focus on playing good defense and not trying to commit a foul.
Don't forget, we are only really a quarter of the way through what we are doing here, because tonight at 5:30, catch the second half of our CAA semifinal doubleheader. Cinderella, number 11 seed Towson Tigers against George Mason, defending champs, for the right to go to the championship game this year. It's more CAA semifinal action. 5:30 tonight right here on the Comcast Network. Great atmosphere here in this first half. Certainly frustration on both sides. The fans are into it. We have got a good one.
I wonder sometimes, Scott, what's the difference between yesterday and today for Old Dominion when you look at some of the guys like Neely, who's going to go to the foul line now, who did not even score in yesterday's game, and now, you know, he's looking at a very solid first half offensively, looking for a 6-point. But everybody's stepped up for Old Dominion, and they've really, I think, taken the burden off of Gerald Lee to score. Frank Cassell has done a terrific job. Neely, Ben Finney, Keon Carter.
And it rolls up over the front of the rim to give Old Dominion the lead with 6.5 seconds to go in the half. Design play. They did it during the timeout. Rodriguez got his pass intercepted. That would count, but it's going to come up short. A wild flurry, and the seesaw tipped back and forth a couple of times in that first half. Old Dominion had a 10-point lead. VCU took it back behind Eric Maynor. And then Old Dominion on a 3-point play just before the buzzer with a 1-point lead. A little bit of controversy now with the officials and Anthony Grant.
Well, Anthony Grant is trying to make his case. This is a veteran crew, okay? He's not going to have any effect on that. He needs to go back in the locker room and focus on his team.
Everybody's focused on a game here in game one of our semifinals here this afternoon. Old Dominion, the number 4 seed, leading the number 1 seed, but just by a point. Stay tuned. We'll have all kinds of halftime activity coming your way in just a moment on the Comcast Network.
It jumps out at me as, other than Eric Maynor, this VCU team is a young team, and what they've experienced over the course of the season is a bit of inconsistency. Sometimes they look great, other times they're a Jekyll and Hyde and very inconsistent. Eric Maynor's been that consistent force, especially offensively for VCU, but I think they're going to need to really settle in here in the second half and play a much better 20 minutes to beat Old Dominion.
There's Neely, the hand at his face, and Sanders, an easy rebound, his 7th. Once again, Old Dominion doing a good job defensively in the half court.
Well, I know at halftime in yesterday's game, Coach Anthony Grant challenged Burgess to step up and not be a spectator, do more offensively, and he certainly did that. VCU need to get some help offensively, particularly at the guard spot, to help Eric Maynor get enough points.
Now down inside, Cassell had himself a very good first half, and that one spins around and in. Frank Cassell, who had 10 points in the first half, now with 12 for the game. He averages only 6.5.
If you're VCU and you looked at yesterday's game and you said, you know, we got to limit Lee to only 2 points in the first half, your chances of winning, you think, would be awesome, but that isn't the way this game played out because guys like Frank Cassell has really stepped up.
Also isn't yesterday for Bradford Burgess, who came out firing from 3-point range in the second half yesterday. He misses on that first attempt. VCU was 8 for 9 from beyond the arc in the second half of yesterday's game.
The thing about Old Dominion so far, Scott, is they haven't been rattled. I mean, they've turned the ball over a couple times against this full court pressure, but by and large, they've been able to execute in the half court and get the kind of shot they wanted. They haven't turned the ball over a lot.
And that weak side block kept it from being a potential 3-point play, but Finney's going to the free throw line as Rodriguez picks up his 3rd foul.
It's interesting as I watch Old Dominion, even, you know, yesterday's game against Hofstra, they really tried to milk the ball, getting it into Gerald Lee in the low post, and they had a lot of different plays attacking the low post from different angles. This time Blaine Taylor is trying to get other guys involved in the offense, and we saw a good baseline cut there by Ben Finney to get the ball in the lane.
Roselle comes on now as Rodriguez got hit for that 3rd foul. He'll take a seat. And a second try here for sophomore Ben Finney. Wow, missed both badly. Free throws have not been a strength really for anybody so far in this tournament. Maynor getting it inside to the big man. And Pishelnikov will now go to the free throw line.
Well, Maynor was really looking to score when he got the ball in the lane, but surrounded by 3 guys, it was a wise decision to drop the ball off to Pishelnikov. Pishelnikov, not really a finesse player, as you see with typically a lot of Europeans, more of a banger. Playing developmental basketball in Russia. I think came here to kind of round out his game.
See the numbers, those foul outs, that's really what has been a problem in terms of keeping him on the floor and being able to protect Sanders as well on the inside.
Interesting story about Pishelnikov. His parents are discus coaches in Russia. His brother competed in the Beijing Olympics in 2008 for Russia. He's the basketball player of the family, and parents came here to spend some time with him and help him get acclimated to the U.S. He's done a terrific job.
Old Dominion playing 4 low right now and then bringing it back out again against man defense. Lee attracts a crowd. They tried to go weak side, backside of the zone. This time Pishelnikov got there. Cassell Can't get it to fall. And Rozelle out of the pack with the basketball. Neely is going to get called for the foul, tripping Pashelnikov after the rebound. 2 quick fouls on Neely here in the second half.
Well, this is good officiating, and this is going to be a battle throughout.
That's just dumb.
Well, again, a lot of times officials miss that call. Bernard Clinton was right on the case, and I'm glad he saw it because, when you don't see that type of thing, the follow-up is something a little bit even more drastic because the guy that is fouled and isn't acknowledged for that, comes back and commits the foul. And it's usually the second guy that gets called for the foul.
Pashelnikov got an elbow look, and he buries the jump shot. Knocks the game back up. He's got 3 now.
Well, he could certainly make a difference. He's got a good mid-range game, and Maynor needs some help, somebody to step up.
Gerald Lee has not only left the game, he has left the arena. Checking on that as quickly as we can for you. He just walked straight on out through the tunnel, followed by the trainer.
Well, maybe Pashelnikov could be the answer for VCU in the second half, much like Brad Burgess was in yesterday's game in the second half.
Screen to set up Neely, and it's going to be a foul call along the baseline. It's going to be on Burgess. He'll be called for the block. His second. Knotted at 30. 3.5 minutes into the second half. I'm trying to find out right now what the story is with regard to Gerald Lee, who left the floor, basically ran up the runway that's on that side of the floor that the players are on right now, followed by the trainer.
Scott, even though Old Dominion played a good first half, Lee only scoring 2 points. I don't think they can win the game with him being such a non-factor offensively. And that's one of the breakouts, that run out that the coaches at Old Dominion were talking about. They really limited VCU from doing that in the first half of this game, and certainly in their win against VCU. VCU can score points and hurry when they get those transition basket opportunities. Here again, very quick hands. Eric Maynor gives the ball up very unselfishly to Brandon Rozelle. But if Old Dominion wants to win this game, they have to limit those transition opportunities for VCU.
A foul call came on the attempt to start another one of those transition opportunities.
And I think Old Dominion has to get Gerald Lee back on the court as quickly as possible. He's such a key part of them winning this game.
Ball's going to stay the same way. Burgess can't believe it. Obviously, that guy can't either. Now the officials huddling up to make sure they get this one right. And Bernard Clinton's going to turn it around.
That's just good communication by the officiating crew. Brian Dorsey, Bernard Clinton. Ramey Steins is here as well. So we have a veteran crew here on this game, and this is such an important game. It's like an NCAA tournament game to both of these teams.
Sanders along the inside. Been quiet so far. He traveled with the basketball. Tried the drop step move. Thought he had himself a foul call coming. It might send him to the line, but instead, it's a traveling violation. Old Dominion, which was doing everything right offensively to start this game, not in the same way right now at all. They started out shooting the lights out, getting the ball into good positions on the floor. They're doing it without Lee right now. We're still trying to find out what ended up happening there and where he is. Coming back now out onto the floor with the trainer. As we get a foul call, there comes Lee back up the runway just in time for the timeout. The foul call against Pashelnikov, and a timeout on the floor as Old Dominion tries to get their leader back. They have lost the lead. Clash of the Titans here in semifinal game number 1. The top seed VCU with a 2-point lead over Old Dominion here early in the second half. You can see a little bit of the color here in the building, some of the excitement in the building. There is a lot of it. And for Old Dominion, they are just happy that it looks like Gerald Lee is back and ready to go again. He left the floor, left with the trainer. Trainer had a roll of tape with him and a scissor. They're looking down toward, potentially an ankle. He has a little bit of a limp. We don't want to speculate, however. 2 points. Yesterday, he had a career-high 30.
Well, he's been battling a foot injury, missed the William & Mary game because of it. And as we looked at him coming back to the bench, you mentioned he was limping, and he does seem to be doing that as well. But Old Dominion's only scored 2 points in the second half. They went in the locker room. Actually, they haven't scored. They went in the locker room with 30 points. And
now Santil trying for a steal way up on the outside. Commits his second foul.
But they need to score, and they need Lee in the game. Obviously, he only had 2 points in the first half. He's averaging over 16.
A lot of low screens, trying to set up a shooter. There you go. Lee with that wraparound. Pretty look to an open Carter. Ties the score.
Terrific pass. Great recognition. If he's not going to score, he can be a great passer.
Oh, wow. Count it. Count it. Maynor so quick off his feet on the contact. And the foul call is a chance for a three-point play.
I just love this pass by Lee. He's not been a factor scoring, but he's been a capable rebounder and a good passer. And here's Maynor on the other end. Gets a favorable bounce, but he's a guy that can take over a game offensively.
Foul call on James was his first. Oh, wait a second. Okay. For a brief moment there, it looked like they were shooting more. As it is, the three-point play gives VCU that 35-32 lead.
I think that Lee is injured here. I'm not sure he's going to be much of a factor offensively, at least in terms of scoring.
Trying to bounce his way inside on Sanders. And off the miss. Tip rebound right into the hands of Bazemore.
I almost get the sense his teammates recognize the fact that he's not really looking to score, and they're looking to score more themselves. Yesterday it was just the opposite.
Trying to play the offense through him when they can. Shot clock winding down now. And again, just not a whole lot there. Adams, little jump hook shot won't go. Fight for the rebound. And Bazemore and Brazel each had a chance to flip it off the other guy. And in neither case did it go out of bounds. Sanders in traffic. And he's going to go to the line as Lee picked up his third.
Lee is just struggling as he's running down the court. He's just not running comfortably. That time Maynor just throws the ball up in the air to Larry Sanders. And I'm sure Gerald Lee was trying to avoid a foul. But Sanders actually makes the contact. And as you see so many times, the guy that makes the contact gets the benefit of going to the foul line.
And free throws continue to be a problem. Lee's going to take a seat now, continuing to limp. He goes to the bench with his third personal.
Being attended to, he is grimacing as he's running down the court. Now, it's hard to tell exactly what's wrong with him. I'm sure that he probably got retaped when he went into the locker room and came right back out.
That's amazing. VCU now 8 for 14 from the line. Old Dominion 7 for 13 from the line. And off the miss by Hassell, it's Maynor with the rebound. And Sanders couldn't finish it. Wayne Taylor's calling for a timeout now. Trying to refocus his squad. And he's going to take his time doing it. Game is ground down to a halt as things are slipping away on both sides in a three-point game. Glad to be here, as always, in the Comcast Network at the CAA Championship. Three-point game, 13-27 left to go here in semifinal game number 1. Tonight at 8, we're going to take inside the House Transportation Committee to show you just how the stimulus money will be spent on Roll Call TV. Then at 8:30, people used to trust the media to get their news. No more. Our experts tell us why and where you need to go to get your info for 09 on It's Your Call with Lynn Doyle. All tonight after we're done, starting at 8 on the Comcast Network.
Well, there's Gerald Lay on the sideline, Scott. Old Dominion only has 4 points here in the second half, and a large part due to the fact that he's just not healthy. And when you talked about Blaine Taylor redesigning, you really have to redesign your offense around your better scorer not being in the game.
VCU gets their first opportunity to do what it is that they want to do, which means run out in transition off of the steal, and it's going to mean free throws coming for Ed Nixon with a foul call on Finney, his third. We're at the Richmond Coliseum in Richmond, Virginia for the Army ROTC 2009 CAA Championship. Glad to be with you alongside John Griffin and Greg Murphy here as well. Scott Graham on the Comcast Network. And Nixon hitting on the first.
It's another example of a breakout for VCU, something that Old Dominion has been trying to contain. But you get the feeling as you look at VCU, and there's Lee coming back into the game, and I think he'll be running back and forth, in and out for the remainder of this game. Blaine Taylor needs him in the game, but you get the sense that VCU is just kind of right on the edge of opening up a lead here with Old Dominion not being able to catch them.
That's a near offensive rebound for Nixon, and he created enough havoc to keep the basketball. Came straight down the lane. You learn from the time that you're playing, age 8 or 9, who's got shooter. Nobody had shooter coming straight down the lane.
There was a stretch in yesterday's game where VCU just broke the game open by making a series of threes against Georgia State. You get the feeling that that's about to happen here. It may not be threes, Scott. It could be drives to the basket. It could be fast breaks as a result of good defense.
That is going to be a big foul, John. It's going to be number 4 on Ben Finney. So you've got your only other double-digit scorer besides Lee, and he now has 4 personals with 12:59 to go. So his action here in the second half is going to be severely limited. Maynor extending the lead out to 5. Biggest lead of the game for VCU.
I think VCU just tends to wear you down. I think you can contain them for a period of time, but it's very difficult to stretch that out over 40 minutes.
And now here comes that pressure again. With a 6-point lead, you're at gut check time right now if you're ODU. Poked free from behind by Maynor, but he lost his man in the process. Didn't matter. And now out on the run. Nothing happening.
Good reset by Maynor. He recognized he didn't have anything. He didn't need to force a bad shot.
Well, they've got the upper hand right now. There's no question about it. Good look inside. It's Sanders, an emphatic finish. Don't look now, it's an 8-point VCU lead.
Well, Sanders had what appeared to be a dunk just a few possessions ago.
Neely had it knocked away. And now a chance at a 3-point play. Give all the credit in the world to Lee for throwing that pass over the top.
Here's just good execution by VCU in the half court to get Sanders the basketball. A high percentage shot there, Scott. And then Neely at the other end, as you mentioned, a terrific pass to get him the ball against the pressure. Good second effort there by Neely. Keep the ball alive, finish the play, and get to the foul line.
I'll tell you what, ODU's going to win this game. Either Neely or Jonathan Adams is really going to have to step up offensively here in this second half. Neely's got 9. The VCU lead is 5 with under 12 minutes left to go. Winner goes to the championship game tomorrow night. That's an interesting mismatch outside. Maynor knows he could take Lee in there. Wanted contact, didn't get it. And now Neely wants to run. And Bazemore is fouled by Nixon. So the ball goes back to Old Dominion when we come back. The #1 seed starting to take control of this game as Old Dominion tries to find itself here in Richmond. They're not only taking control, they're sending a message here in this second half. Blaine Taylor sitting on win number 300 for his career. John, you coached for a long time. You're without really your top 2 scorers because Lee is battling an injury problem. Your other scorer, Ben Finney, is sitting with 4 fouls right now. Do you have the ability to make it up as you go along and come up with something different at this juncture of a season?
Well, you'll try something in the course of the game to maybe get the ball to one guy or another. Now, I think Old Dominion, for example, can probably score more points on the foul line than they can from the field. So if you can take advantage of that, that's great. But I'm not sure that Blaine Taylor, with all his experience, and I think he's a very, very solid coach, can offset Eric Maynor right now and what a guy like Larry Sanders brings to the game. Right now, VCU just has more tools than he has, and I think it's starting to show.
Maynor getting a break here off the timeout. Ben Rodriguez running the team. It's Sanders inside. On the fadeaway, doesn't go, and Bazemore, who had his first 2 points a moment ago, with a rebound now. Here comes Old Dominion. Neely, great look for Lee. He's fouled by Gwynn. And Gerald Lee will go to the line now with an opportunity to make this a 1-point game again.
You know, when you think of can you redesign anything, I don't think you can, but you can emphasize certain things. And this time Neely just drives the ball to the basket and he finds his open teammate. That was probably the easiest pass to get the ball to Gerald Lee. So I think if you're Blaine Taylor, what you say to yourself is, I think we can score on the foul line. Let's keep driving the ball to the basket. And that would be the point of emphasis for the last 11 minutes of the game.
I tell you what, that's a grimace that he has got right now, even just standing there at the free throw line. 3 points, 4 boards. Remember, if you tuned in late, this is a guy who had a career high 30 and 10 rebounds yesterday. Left the floor, though, with what looked like an ankle or foot problem, and he is still limping as he hits 1 out of 2. 6-0. Old Dominion run, though, is back down to a 2-point game, and Maynor back on the floor off the free throws. We've got a good one here in semifinal game #1.
I think this lack of mobility as well for Gerald Lee really affects him on the defensive end as well.
Maynor taking it inside. And Eric Maynor getting done what you would expect Maynor to get done. He's now got 1,900 career points sitting on that 2. He's got 17 for the game.
It's kind of a quiet 17 too, isn't it? It just doesn't come in bunches. It's like 2 here, 2 there, 2 there, and all of a sudden it adds up to 18 or 19 points.
3-point attempts. Doesn't go. Big rebound for Sanders. He's got 9 boards for the game. Rodriguez open 3. That could have been a dagger, but Sanders there for the putback.
Good offensive rebound by Sanders. Gerald Lee again just not getting down the court quick enough to box out Sanders. Maynor does a terrific job of seeing the court, getting the ball to Joey Rodriguez.
Old Dominion's got a little bit of a hole in the middle now. And VCU is playing their 2 big men at the same time to take advantage of that. Bazemore got it back out. They find the open man. It's Neely. And another try at an offensive rebound. They collapse in a heap. And the ball is going back the other way.
Well, Blaine Taylor's looking for an answer somewhere. Somebody has to step up, particularly with Lee not being able to score in the lane. Somebody's going to have to make some shots. Old Dominion yesterday did not shoot the ball well from beyond the three. Only 2 for 13, and they're struggling here tonight.
He didn't like that call at all.
Maynor, that's vintage Maynor, going to the basket, getting his defender off balance. And here's another thing you're going to see all the time, finding his open men.
And Sanders, good job inside, as you said. Those offensive rebounds weren't coming early in the game. This was a dominant rebounding effort in the first half by Old Dominion. It's changing around, though. And, of course, second half means it's Eric Maynor time when VCU plays.
He's just had a fantastic career, and there's a good example of his abilities to go to the basket, to step beyond the three-point line. He just does everything well, and he makes it look so easy. A treat to watch. He can take this team to the next level if they win this game and play in the championship game, and perhaps if they win that, they can go into the NCAA tournament and do some damage. Over 1,900 career points all-time at VCU.
You know, if they get themselves a couple of games in the NCAAs, he would have an outside shot at reaching 2,000 points for his career.
Doesn't happen too often. I mean, he's a rarity, and as young as Anthony Grant is as a head coach at VCU, he could coach another 40 years and not have another player as good as Eric Maynor.
Pashelnikov is wide open. Hit that shot once before, but this time it falls short. And Sanders going to get called for going over the back on the rebound. So Sanders gets his second. That is 9 team fouls on VCU, and this goes back to what you were talking about, Griff. If Old Dominion wants an opportunity to win this game and get back in it, they might be able to do it from the free throw line.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be an ugly win or an ugly way to get back into the game, but nonetheless, you'll take it. And since Old Dominion has struggled so much in terms of getting field goals, here's the problem, Scott. Old Dominion is only a 64% shooting team from the foul line.
That will go, and one more now for Carter, who's got 8 for the game. There you go. Risk time. It is time to take a risk, and that's what they're going to do. Ben Finney's going to come on with 4 fouls now. I'll tell you what, you got one guy who's hurt. But they have been going after freely on the defensive end. Lee's not in the game right now. I don't know if you could have them both on the floor at the same time, because there'd be no way of stopping them. 4-point game, under 9 minutes left to go. Rodriguez. He just is not shooting against Old Dominion this year. But stepping on the end line was Bazemore.
Rodriguez has had some good looks, Scott. Don't you get the feeling he's due? I mean, he's just so wide open. Eric Maynor does a terrific job of seeing him and getting him the ball in an area where he can score.
Rodriguez is now 3 for 18 from the floor against Old Dominion in 3 games this year.
And you know what? He's a 41% shooter from the three-point line, so it's understandable why you want to get him the basketball there.
There goes Maynor straight back to work.
I would call Eric Maynor a guy that has blinding jet-like speed, but what he has is a great knack of changing speeds, getting the defender a little bit off balance, and then just accelerating.
He's got 19 for the game, his team up by 6. This is Finney, lost the handle. And Maynor. They find Rodriguez again, just not falling for him. But it goes off the leg of Bazemore, and the ball will stay with VCU when we come back. Maynor doing a good job making sure his teammate stays in, keeps firing if the shots are that open. But right now, though, Superman is in the building for VCU, and it's good enough for a 6-point lead. .46-40. VCU on top with 7:46 to go here in the ball game. A chance to go to the championship game. here in Richmond tomorrow night. Right now, both teams have taken 15 shots from the floor here in this half, Griff. 7 of them have gone in for VCU, just 3 for Old Dominion, but real struggle for Rodriguez.
Joey Rodriguez 0 for 5 from the field. 4 of those shots are beyond the arc. And this is what I love about Eric Maynor. Coming off the court, he's talking to Rodriguez. Rodriguez is a sophomore. He's saying, stay in the game. Keep your head in the game. Don't worry about it. You get another shot, take it. And I think Anthony Grant said the same thing. And he's a very, very respectable shooter at over 40% from beyond the 3. So you want him to shoot the ball. Because you know what? If they win this game, they're going to have to use him tomorrow. Joey Rodriguez, 41%, really one of the best three-point shooters in the conference.
As we said, sometimes you just don't go well against a team. 3 for 20 from the floor against VCU, including 0 for 5 in this one. Numbers don't matter, though. What matters is what the team is doing, and VCU's got a 6-point lead right now with under 8 minutes left to go. And Maynor had it stripped away. And a reach-in foul on Pashelnikov after the steal. That's his 4th.
Scott, I think that VCU is really helping the cause here of allowing Old Dominion to stay in the game. Anthony Grant's team plays great defense. They play aggressive defense, but it's actually working against them right now because they're giving Old Dominion a chance to score from the foul line, and as well, the clock has stopped.
Once again, you got to hit those free throws when you get the opportunity. Finishes 58% on the year. You see Pashelnikov now dealing with his 4th personal foul. Finney's also got 4. And missed them both. And they say the ball's going back the other way. Carter was warding off Sanders as if Old Dominion had possession. That was not the case. And there's that change of speed again from Maynor. The quick acceleration into the forecourt, and he'll stop and set it up. No secret as to what the X factor was going to be for VCU in this tournament. Maynor was a decision maker yesterday, a deciding factor, and he has been again today. Rodriguez from Maynor doesn't go, but Sanders a rebound.
Well, Rodriguez thought he got fouled there. I like the fact that he went right back to him, though, and took the shot. The conversation walking off the court absolutely had an effect.
Right back to him again.
It's almost like a wide receiver in football who gets a pass and he drops a good pass and the quarterback goes right back to him again.
They go right back to him again here. He drives inside, threw it right up into the bottom of the backboard. Still staying with the play. Now Bazemore in and out. He'll go to the free throw line. Shots are very hard to come by for Old Dominion here in this second half.
I think Old Dominion, though, has had success going to the basket. Bazemore that time gets into the lane. Old Dominion has a lot of guys that are 6'5", that can put the ball on the floor, get into the lane, and draw a foul. Lane Taylor just needs guys who can make foul shots at this point in the game. You know, as a coach, sometimes you ask yourself, do I give my players a chance to win the game? Am I doing the things that can help them have a chance? And yes, getting to the foul line gives the team a chance.
And Lee came back in during that free throw, so this may be your push right now if you're Old Dominion. You get him on the floor, you're within 4 points, 6:23 to go. Send the big man out with the limp and say go as long as you can. That's an open look, and that's a big 3 from a freshman. Bradford Burgess hits again.
Well, he did it yesterday, and now he does it again at a critical moment in the game. Kind of buried Georgia State yesterday afternoon, and that was a huge 3 against Old Dominion.
VCU has led this by as many as 8. Old Dominion led by as many as 10 in the first half. And Lee up and under, trying to foul Pashelnikov out of the game, and I believe he just did.
Well, the partisan crowd here. The VCU fans hate the call. Anthony Grant doesn't like it anymore. Here's that penetration and pass, and we saw that a couple times yesterday. Brad Burgess drills a three. And here's Lee. We saw Lee do this a lot yesterday, except yesterday he got 30 points doing it. Forces the 5th foul on Pashelnikov.
Fouls out for the 7th time this year. Now the good news if you're a VCU fan is that Sanders is not in any kind of foul trouble, because Anthony Grant would have his hands tied if he lost both of his big men. That happened to him earlier this year in a game at Delaware, a game the Blue Hens won at Delaware. You hit the free throws, the clock is stopped, you stick around, who knows? VCU has pretty much controlled this game throughout. Second half, and Old Dominion has been without a field goal for better than 6 minutes. They're scoring all their points from the line. Their last 10 points have come from the free throw line.
And they're in the double bonus, Scott, so they can kind of get to the foul line in the remaining 5.5 minutes of this game and get 2 foul shots every time they go there.
I go right at the big man. That's where Maynor went, got the whistle. The foul call in this case will be on Neely. That's his 3rd.
Just so hard to keep Maynor out of the lane. And when he gets in the lane, he has a great feel for how to make contact and draw the foul.
The numbers, very Eric Maynor-like.
Very efficient, Scott. He doesn't waste plays. He doesn't waste passes. He doesn't waste shots. He makes the most of each pass and each shot.
21st game of the year with 20-plus points for Eric Maynor. Just 1 out of 2 there. And Bazemore winning the race for the basketball. The lead is 6, but VCU still very much in control. Old Dominion's got to find some firepower. They got to find it quick. That's the guy they need to get going. But Lee is just not himself right now.
Just didn't look comfortable as he caught the ball and planted and turned and faced the basket. He just didn't seem himself. He certainly didn't seem as balanced as he was yesterday.
I think he may be coming out next whistle. See if they can get him some rest. Ready for the last few minutes in hopes that the last few minutes actually still mean something. VCU content to use clock. Deep 3 ball. Wow!
That was ridiculous. I don't even know how to describe the distance on that shot. That was almost like a shot you take in desperation at the end of a shot clock, but he had plenty of time. It brings the crowd to its feet. That could be the dagger. That could be the shot that makes the difference and kind of changes the game here in the remaining 4 minutes.
First 2 games, Maynor was 1 for 11 from beyond the arc against Old Dominion. Today, 2 out of 3. You ought to get 4 points for this one.
Yeah, measure that. I don't even know how you describe that. I hardly have ever seen a shot taken like that in the flow of the offense. I've seen it at times with desperation, but, you know, he didn't even look like that was a difficult shot for him.
Just better than everybody else. The all-time leader at VCU in scoring and assists. The other night, no surprise to anybody, found out he was the CAA Player of the Year for the 2nd season in a row.
Scott, I'll tell you the other thing that doesn't show up in the stats really, and that is his confidence, his swagger. And I think when you get into playoff games, especially surrounded by young players as he is, the rest of the team looks up to him. And I don't know if there's a stat sheet that can account for that, but nonetheless, when you have him on your team and Gerald Lee that's right now on the sidelines, it makes a huge difference in terms of your team's intangibles.
That bomb of a shot giving VCU their biggest lead of the ball game. And time is getting short right now for Old Dominion. Adams got the runner off the glass.
I think you're going to see Old Dominion just keep doing that, driving to the basket, seeing if they can get to the foul line. Game a little bit reminds me of yesterday's game, James Madison against George Mason, where a 7-point lead feels like a 20-point lead.
Adams going to get called for the foul with that collision on the outside, and it's going to be 1-and-1 opportunity time for VCU when we come back. But Eric Maynor doing exactly what you'd expect him to do as he's got his team out to a 7-point lead. VCU fans can almost taste it. 7-point lead, 3:57 left to go. And yesterday it was VCU using the 3-ball in the second half. 8 out of 9 from 3-point range in the second half yesterday. They've had a couple of very big 3-point shots in this one.
Well, the last couple sequences offensively remind you very much of yesterday. Maynor finding Burgess in the left-hand corner. Burgess had 3 threes yesterday, drills a big one. And how about Maynor? Deep. Again, I'll call that 8-10 feet from beyond the 3-point line. But Maynor and Burgess really stepping up, just like they did yesterday afternoon.
Like NFL Europe play, when a field goal better than 50 yards is worth 4 points. That's a 4-point shot.
Yeah, I used to work for a fellow by the name of Jim Boyle and at St. Joe's, and he would say that certain plays are worth more than basketball gives them credit. He would say, for example, a dunk is worth more than 2 points, and certain threes are worth more than 3.
Now they'll take the 3 they got out of it because they have a chance right now with Burgess at the line to extend back out to a 9-point lead with under 4 minutes left to go. And Burgess gets it done. You're getting a desperation time right now if you're Old Dominion, because you just about had any offensive firepower in this half at all.
Well, I don't think VCU is going to give up an open 3-point shot.
Instead, they give up an opportunity for the traditional 3-point play.
Yeah, I think you can keep going in the lane. That's Old Dominion's best chance, trying to attack in the lane, either on a drive or a pass. Gerald Lee not in the game. This time Carter makes a good strong move to the low post, and again, Scott, the great part about his move to the basket is he gets fouled and goes to the line.
Yeah, Carter had 4 total points in 2 games this year against VCU, but he's got 12 today. Amazingly enough, they are back within 6.
Yeah, only a 2-possession game here. And, if VCU weren't fouling, this would be a double-digit lead for VCU. The only reason that Old Dominion is in this game right now is because VCU is putting them on the foul line.
Good ball movement. Rodriguez finally got one to go.
He's smiling. He's running down the court. I think he really appreciates the fact that his teammates have given him the basketball back. That basket was worth more than 3 points to him, I can assure you that. That'll bring him back for tomorrow's game with some confidence if VCU wins this game.
The smile of the point was to Maynor. And now off the rebound, VCU looking to press an advantage. They look like they're getting close to putting this one away with under 3 minutes to go. It'll be TJ Gwynn going to the free throw line.
I think the crowd is starting to sense it. I'll call this a relief 3-point field goal. There it is. It's almost like a one-handed push. But again, he is so excited.
That was, thank goodness.
Thankful,
yep.
Relieved, excited. You hate to finish the game and go back to your hotel room and have to think about it between now and the next game.
Well, that cleared it, right?
That did. That certainly did.
I'll tell you what, give a lot of credit to the man standing right next to him there for keeping him in that game, as you pointed out. I'll tell you what, I miss a whole bunch of shots in a row, my first 6. And I'm going to be turning around and finding Eric Maynor with his arm around me saying, keep firing. I'm going to keep firing. So Gwynn, 1 out of 2. That is a look of relief, and look who's coming.
Yep, that's it. That's what a leader does. That's what a captain does. And there's no stat sheet that's going to illustrate that. That's just kind of a moment in time that you captured in that photograph. But that speaks wonders about the leadership qualities of Eric Maynor and what he brings to this very young team.
The VCU up by 10, 2:57 to go, their largest lead of the day. They may be punching their ticket. The other semifinal is coming up next. Towson, the 11 seed, has already knocked off the 6 and the 3. Can they knock off the defending champions? The semifinals coming up next with Towson and George Mason here on the Comcast Network. Interesting day, kind of a roller coaster ride for Joey Rodriguez.
He really did shoot some clangers, but again, he got some counseling as he went off the court. And then look what happens. He drills the 3. He thanks his teammate, Eric Maynor, acknowledges it. And again, Joey Rodriguez will be back to fight another day because of the coaching of the leader, Eric Maynor. You'd really love to have a coach on the court. That's what Eric Maynor brings to this team.
Alley-oop. Oh, wow. It slipped right through the fingers of Carter. Much the way this game seems to be slipping through the fingers of Old Dominion. I don't know they have enough firepower right now to come back from this 10-point deficit.
That was a great pass by Bazemore.
James trying to pick the pocket of Maynor, but it'll stay VCU's way.
Old Dominion doesn't score points in a hurry. They're not necessarily going to put pressure on the ball and force VCU into turnovers, and they haven't really been shooting the ball well from the three-point line. So as long as VCU doesn't foul, I'm not sure how Old Dominion gets back into the game.
And Maynor, little floater. Sanders missed on it too. Comes the last opportunity for Old Dominion. And that doesn't go. They had a chance. You get a basket right there. You set up a little pressure. Maybe, just maybe. But right now, as you cross the 2-minute mark, it does not look good for the Monarchs fans. And the people in gold are starting to stand up.
There's another guy that's been struggling. Darius James for Old Dominion. He was 0 for 7 yesterday. Missed a lot of good open looks today.
Sanders with an exclamation point from the weak side.
And that's an assist that should count as more than one assist. He has a great knack for allowing the ball to just kind of hang in the air and let guys like Sanders go up and get it.
We're just about at celebration time now for VCU fans with 1:33 to go. They're up by 12.
There's this drive to the lane, and he just floats the ball up in the air. He has a great feel for where he wants to place the ball, and he allows his teammates to go up and get it in a position where they can finish on a play like Larry Sanders.
Tell you what, the last few years, had an opportunity to call a lot of VCU games on television. I'll say it right now, as this is probably the last time I'm going to be calling Eric Maynor in a VCU uniform. It has been not only a pleasure, but an honor watching him play.
When you think of great quarterbacks in football, you know, they know how to deliver the ball to a guy. Sometimes it's a real hard pass. Sometimes it's a real soft pass. Eric Maynor has that feel. Sometimes it's a bounce pass. Sometimes it's a chest pass. He shows us the ability to make a lot of lob passes when he's off balance, and he just lets the ball hang around the rim.
We told you, of course, the all-time scoring leader at VCU. He's also the all-time assist leader at VCU, and you can imagine, well ahead of everybody else on the per-game level for this year.
Well, 6 assists is amazing in and of itself, but when you think of a guy that scores over 1,900 points in his career and averages for a career over 4 assists a game.
That's funny. You talk about the situation involving Darius James. He's now 0 for 7 from the floor. It's similar to Rodriguez's situation. You put it all together, he's now 0 for 18 from the floor against VCU this year. That's tough.
Oh, he's a guy that's been open so much the last 2 games. He's had some perfect opportunities to score.
Finney, pretty move down the lane, wouldn't go. Vassell got himself a tip in. He's got 14 points for the game, but 10-point game as we come up on a minute left.
He really did most of his damage in the first half.
1 minute to go. Time for the salute from the VCU fans. I'll let Maynor dribble this one out.
Yeah, I'm not sure there's much Old Dominion can do at this point, but Scott, they've had a great season. It's been a tremendous rivalry. VCU will go to the finals now. They got upset last year. They're going to go to the finals. But Old Dominion is going to play somewhere. They're a very good team, and they're going to play in a postseason tournament.
Finney, big take to the hoop, and with a foul call with just under 30 to go, he'll go to the line to shoot 2. And you wonder, and I'm sure there are people that are wearing the dark and light blue or that pinstripe suit there, you wonder, had Lee been able to play in the second half, had he not been injured? Who knows?
Well, if he was anything like he was yesterday in terms of the way he played, the way he scored, this game would have been much closer. I'm sure he's very frustrated, but he's going to have to regroup, get healthy, and be ready for wherever Old Dominion is going to play in the postseason.
Last year they were their inaugural CBI. You got to be thinking that something like that, or certainly an NIT bid, should be in the offing for Old Dominion. Eric Maynor bringing it across half court, taking an opportunity to salute the fans.
Well, this crowd has been supportive, certainly in VCU's backyard, and they're going to be here tomorrow to try to urge VCU on to an NCAA tournament bid. A lot of respect these clubs have for each other, from the coaches to the players.
That amounted to a victory lap for Eric Maynor. VCU wins here in the semifinals to make their 6th championship game appearance in the CAA, 4th in the last 6 years, as they win it by a final score of 61-53. Eric Maynor and Anthony Grant one more time in CAA play. It'll be here tomorrow night against the winner of game number 2. We'll take a break, and we will come back with an awful lot more here in between games. VCU punches their ticket.
Can't build up again.